Quick heads up before the show starts. We would love to meet you at 2 upcoming events. Bring a dish and a swimsuit for the Colorado World Schoolers Brunch Picnic on August 15th, or join the World School Pop-Up Hub in Osaka, Japan from October 11th to the 17th. Info and RSVP links are in the show notes. Michelle from the Traveling Village shares how her family turned the digital nomad journey into a global community for world schooling families. From navigating unschooling and language learning on the road to co-living in Asia, launching caravans, and building sustainable routes through the ReVillage project, Michelle shares what it takes to balance remote work, child-led education, and slow travel. Don't miss her best tips for traveling families at the end. Welcome to the Wander World School podcast. I'm Susie, travel-loving money nerd, mom of 2, and our family lives between Spain, Colorado, and soon Japan. On this show, we discuss the stories, logistics, and finances of traveling families and the many ways to learn along the way. Today, we get to know Michelle Rødgaard-Jessen. Happy to have you on the show. Please tell me more about you and your family and where you're calling in from today.
I'm Michelle, and my husband is Nikolai Astrup, and we have 2 kids, Kai, who is almost 8 years old, and Iris is 4. And we are currently in Busan in South Korea. We're doing like the 3rd trip with the Traveling Village.
And I'm really excited to learn more about the Traveling Village and how it works and the travel opportunities for you, your family, and other families to be part of that. But before we jump into more about the Traveling Village, I always like to take it back to where your love for travel started.
My love for traveling definitely came from my childhood. My mom is from Taiwan, but grew up in Brazil. So we would always visit family in Brazil. My dad also had a period where he was stationed in China. In general, they had very global friend groups. And then when I was studying my master, it was during 1 year in Beijing. And I dragged my now husband there as well. And this was his first experience of like living abroad. And it was definitely not like the most livable place, though we really loved it. But it also comes with some challenges. But I think after that, he was also like really keen on like traveling more and like exploring more and like trying to live in different places.
And then when you started your family, were there some travel opportunities in there too when they were young, or before you guys launched Traveling Village?
Before we had kids, we were like digital nomads for 4 years. We were always working remotely with our own companies. Then we decided to have like a base in Copenhagen in Denmark, where we're also from, and travel for shorter periods or longer periods from there. Like that's when we had kids. And then we started traveling with both kids, but we found out we were a bit lonely on our own. Like even though we tried to stay in the same place, it took a lot of time and energy to build like new relationships, and then we had to stay there, so we couldn't explore like other places. So that's when this idea of like creating a traveling village like resurfaced. It was actually an idea we had like before we even had kids, because we were already like thinking of homeschooling and world schooling at that point. But of course, we didn't know much about like having kids. But after traveling for 6 months, just us and the kids, we were like, okay, it's time to to build that dream with the Traveling Village and actually like bring all the social connections and travel together.
In general, what has been your approach for education and languages for your family?
So for education, I think our approach has been like very much unschooling like, but I think now we're starting to become a bit more structured. So maybe just homeschooling. My son is growing a bit older, like, and he's shown interest in some things. Like, I want to like guide him a bit more. And regarding languages, like we all speak Danish, like, and the kids are learning English, especially it's in the Traveling Village. It's a natural way to learn. Languages is really one of my big passions. I grew up with a mom who speaks 8 languages, so that definitely comes from her. I speak Danish, English, Spanish, some Portuguese, a bit of German, and I'm learning Mandarin. So I'm trying to keep up with my mom, but it is something I really enjoy when I travel myself. So I also try to like pass on that passion for languages to my kids. That's the thing with like the unschooling. You have to catch the interest of the child, and my son is really like into it now. Like, but My daughter, not so much.
Sometimes it takes time to develop those interests. But I'm really curious, you said with your mom, because I'm fascinated with languages. How did she acquire 8 languages?
She grew up in like Taiwanese parents, but growing up in Brazil. So she was already like bilingual as a child because she was speaking Portuguese in school and to her siblings, but then Mandarin with her parents. Then she really wanted to like work in the like hotel industry, so she had to learn English. And then she wanted to come to like Denmark and Germany, so she was learning those 2 languages in Brazil. I remember she told me she was learning from this old lady in Brazil who taught her Danish. Not perfectly, of course, but enough so she could come and work as an au pair in Denmark. And that's when she met my dad, and she never made it to Germany. It gave her like a lot of possibilities. The languages was a key to more options for her. And also like she's just so interested in it. If she sees a German person, she will speak to the person in German. If she meets an Italian person, she will speak in Italian, even though it would probably be easier in English or like another language sometimes that she's more confident in. But she will like, I think that's why she's so good at it, because she will just insist, even when it's complicated. And she has like a very global group of friends.
I can see how the persistence is a big piece of it. And it's very easy to feel nervous, especially as an adult learner. I get really nervous talking with other adults that I know in Spain. But then if I'm in a classroom setting or I'm talking to a total stranger, I'm less nervous. So I just know that you need to just do it sometimes. That's the key, is just practice, practice, practice. You've shared that you've taken more of an unschooling approach, switching a little more to some structure with your almost 8 and your 4-year-old. I'm curious what that has looked like for you. I think it's true that there's a lot of evolution in educating our kids as they grow up, as their needs change, and everyone takes a different approach. But I'm curious what's been working for you all, and what does unschooling look like for you all? What is a typical day in that aspect? And then what does it mean to incorporate some more structure?
It has been like quite easy with our son because he was like naturally like interested in like very like school-ish stuff. So like he taught himself to read, and he's very interested in like music and learning a lot of English through that. And also he likes math, and like, so I think I've been a bit lucky. So it's not just me like teaching him. Like, so I just like what unschooling has looked like for us is mostly okay, he's interested in this. So very early on, he would like show interest in like letters and words, and we would just like guide him and help him and then just encourage him to like continue like diving into this topic. And it has very, very much been like about like following his interests. And now I want to be a bit more structured, for instance, with like his English. I can see he's learning a lot by himself, like through music and being in the traveling village around like all these other kids. A lot of them speak English, but I think I could like help him a bit more, and that's where this more structured approach comes in.
It's great when a child shows interest in things and we want to help guide them through that. And I've maybe struggled a little bit because I'm like, oh, I like what my kids are interested in when it's stuff that I'm interested in too. Mm-hmm. But it's a little harder when it's different. So that part has been interesting to see how to support their interests while also guiding it in some ways. So language piece, I think, is great for English language learners to be part of many of these hubs that are somewhat more English-centric. They're going to naturally have that opportunity. And we've almost had to take the opposite, where we're trying to immerse ourselves into Spanish and German communities so that our kids can pick up the languages. So I actually think for people who want English exposure for their kids, there's also a lot of opportunities in world schooling.
The third annual Empowered Podcasting Conference returns to the Hyatt Centric Hotel in Charlotte, North Carolina, August 21st through 23rd, and you're invited to join the festivities. The event brings podcast creators, professionals, and industry experts together for a weekend of learning, growing, collaborating, and networking with one another. Grab your ticket now and use promo code EPC20 at checkout to save 20% on your purchase. Learn more and reserve your ticket at empoweredpodcasting.com. You can find the link in the show notes. The link mentioned is an affiliate link, which means this creator earns a commission when you buy through it.
I could really see like the native English speaking families in our group. They're like a bit jealous of the rest of us because they're like, oh, your kids are learning English. Like my kids are not learning any language right now. So they really want that part too. So I can really understand how you feel.
You've shared that you've been working remotely, your own businesses for a while. Fill me in a little bit more on how you're funding your travels and how did that start and what that's looked like to balance work, travel, and raising our children.
We've always been working like while traveling. I used to run an online marketing agency for many years. And my husband has also been doing like consulting. Then we've been doing like retreats for entrepreneurs. And now we're doing like traveling village. We've just been doing like a lot of different projects. We had like the advantage of being able to work remotely even before we had kids. So, and I didn't even realize how much that would mean when we had kids. But I feel very lucky that we have been able to do this like throughout the time. But of course, it is like you said, like how do you balance like working and traveling? And that is sometimes like really tough, especially when you're like with a group and there's so much FOMO and you want to do all the things, but you also have to squeeze in work and yeah, so that is sometimes like stressful. But at the same time, I also really enjoy working and like creating. I also feel really lucky to be able to like do both. So, and it's also what makes it like sustainable for us in the long run. So to keep living like this. So no complaints.
I know. I think the ability to work remotely wherever it works for us is the most amazing key to being able to travel longer and slower. You're forced to slow down a little bit when you are building in work into that. I feel like very lucky that we get to explore the world while still maintaining some routines and some habits around work and structure, but also some freedom that comes with that. I think it's a great way to balance it all. But you're right, it's not always easy. But I really want to get into more about Traveling Village, how it got started. You're wrapping up your third village right now, but TV 4 and 5 are in the works. So I'd love to take it back, though, to what the first Traveling Village looks like and how that's evolved and just anything you can share with us about Traveling Village.
So I already said a little bit about like how the idea came even before we had kids and then we were traveling alone and we were like, okay, if a dream like keeps like knocking on your door, I have a saying that like, then you have to like answer and just try it out. And that's how it really felt with this, like doing the Traveling Village. But we were unsure who would be crazy enough to like join like this random family on the internet like for a 4-month-long like journey through 3 countries. Like we started up like making this simple landing page and we were like, oh, we're also looking for a few families to help us like build this and do this. The first Traveling Village, we were like 4 founding families. It was like an American family, an Indian family, and another Danish family that joined us to help like create the first trip. We had to figure out where we're going, how do we do it, and we decided on having like communal funds and like how do we make decisions, how many families, how are we structuring this, and what's the plan, and how do we find families and all of that. So that was like how it started, and so many families signed up. We had more applicants that we had like spots because we wanted like 20 families. We thought that was a good village size. We wanted to like create it more low pressure by having more families, and like also then you're sure you will find someone to bond with. You don't have to be besties with like everyone, but you will find someone in that group. So yeah, that was like really amazing that it actually worked, and people were crazy enough to sign up. And the first one was a non-profit trip. They paid into this communal fund. So we had some money to create amazing experiences like events, parties, communal meals, go to like museums and do a lot of things together. So that was how it started. And since then we did like TV2, which was like a camper van trip, like with it was shorter, 6 weeks, and with 15 families. And then now we are on the third one, which is similar to number one, like where we're also going through like 3 countries in Asia, like for 4 months and 20 families.
And so the first one was Vietnam, Thailand, and Japan. Now you've done Vietnam, Taiwan, and South Korea. And those are where people are staying in their own chosen accommodations that they're finding on their own? Or what do the accommodations look like?
On the first traveling village, some people randomly found like some hotels and places that could work for like co-living as well. There were room for more families. And it worked so well doing the co-living. On this trip, a lot of the families are actually living together. So here in South Korea, we have our own little apartment, but it's in the same building with 3 other families. And then we have like one big shared flat on the top and a rooftop that we're sharing, all of us. So we have like this co-living, and 200 meters from us, like 8 families are living together in another co-living. And we're really like prioritizing like being in walking distance.
And that is different from Village 2, which was in the camper vans. And then the upcoming Village 5 will also be in camper vans. What has the difference been between when you are staying in accommodations, a little bit more of the co-living versus, I assume most people have their own camper van, but then you are really close to each other, typically if you're in the same location. What has the difference been like, and do you have a preference?
I really love the camper vans, because I feel more connected to the whole group when we're in the camper vans because we're all together. When we're doing like these, like the Asia trips and we're staying in like different co-livings, like there will be some people that you don't get to live with, but you're always closer with the people that you have lived with because you've seen more sides of people and you're cooking together, you're eating, like having meals together more often. And like, I actually prefer the camper vans, but it's easier to explore more with this other kind of traveling. So like we have more local immersion on these Asia trips, like the bigger trips, definitely. So there are like pros and cons to both of them.
And what does a typical day look like and I recognize with 20 different families, they're all probably going to choose different things, maybe for your family or just what you've seen in general. How do families plan for a typical day?
For this traveling village, we decided to have like what we call the nest, which is our communal space where we meet 4 times a week for 4 hours. And we have hired 2 instructors. We call them scouts, and we're making like some activities for the kids. Families are doing like homeschooling every morning where they do like math or other things. Also, some kids go to school back home, but are having a sabbatical now, but I still need to keep up with some schoolwork that they're doing. So it's very different situations, also depending on the age. A lot of the days we just meet up at the nest, which is like a very casual hangout place. Here in Busan, it's twice a week on the beach. So it's a lot of playing at the beach and sometimes picnics. We also do a lot of soccer. We rented this indoor amazing soccer place where the kids can go wild and play, and a lot of sports and make different things. And we have like a shared calendar. And if you saw the village calendar, it's packed. So it's really about prioritizing and finding your own rhythm for your family. And some families, one partner is working, so you won't see that person during the day. But you will see the other person around with the kids and coming to the nest. And the key is really to find like your own balance and like don't be like carried away because you want to do all the things. And I'm definitely not mastering that so well yet, but I'm really trying. So today I didn't go to the nest. I had like a quiet day with my son, but my husband and daughter went there and like played soccer and had lunch with the group. So I
think when people hear about families traveling together for an extended period of time, they might wonder, well, how do we manage potential conflicts? How do we manage and avoid drama. I mean, I guess we can't avoid conflict because we're all human and we all have opinions and thoughts. And actually managing conflict and differing opinions, I think, is a really important skill. How is conflict managed? How are community activities decided? How is that all managed between the parents and the kids? Because that's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions.
Like you say, conflicts are also how we grow. So, I think you can't avoid having conflicts when you're living so closely together for more than 4 months, and across different cultures and personalities. We definitely do have conflicts, but not anything serious. And I think it was so interesting on TV1 to see how the group got better and better at handling conflicts. I think that was very beautiful to see the group grow together. Because the first time there was a conflict, I think it was something related to communal funds. That's often the cause. Like, is this appropriate to use communal funds for? Like, doesn't have to be a big conflict, but just something that we need to discuss. So on the first time we had a conflict like that, it was handled like terribly. So when people got sad and like we had to like have an extra meeting and talk it all through, and then we decided on like some more rules, like, okay, how do we do it the next time? And the next time when it happened, I could see people following those rules, and actually it was handled a lot better.
I do like the idea of a village where people have to work together, you work through conflict and help each other out, but still there's some space for you to live your own life. I think that's a great way to have some intentionality around it. And next year we'll bring both the camper van through Portugal and Spain, and then the village again in Southeast Asia. What have you learned with each TV as you've been designing future ones? What are some of the lessons learned that you've incorporated in the future plans?
So I think we learned something each time. Importance of walkability, like being closer to each other, like because it means so much logistically. And we also became a lot better at like finding good lodging that would suit families. I think there are always some things that, like, now we're testing out the nest and having some scouts to like create activities and just figuring out how are we doing this and does it work? Should it be 4 days? Should it be less? Should it be more? And how are people using it? Because sometimes your idea can be something, but if people are using it in a different way, like for instance with the nest here, we thought that people would not come every day, but most people are actually coming every time. So which was surprising to us. So that means a lot of the time we're actually all together, so which is a big group. Whereas on TV1, they were more in like smaller groups because you had to come up with an activity to meet up because you didn't have the casual hangout space. And I also wanted to add to the money question you had that one way we'll try to avoid conflicts, and which I can see have worked since the first one, is that this time we allocated budget to each work group, which makes it a lot easier because on TV1 it was just one big pot of money, and then we had to decide on almost each thing. Whereas here now it's up to the work groups. So we have a kids activity work group. We have events, communal meals, finance, and different ones. The nest, of course, because to find spaces and pay for those. So sometimes the kids activity will decide, okay, the kids want to try this activity. We are funding it. Like when they did dance classes in Taiwan, for instance. And I think that made it a lot easier this time.
But I think the progression of this is ReVillage. I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about ReVillage. That launched from your experiences as Traveling Village, but I'd love if you could share a little more about what ReVillage is and what the plans are, as much as you can share about that.
ReVillage is like another dream we're working on. And that is more about like a whole village, a big group of families moving to the same village in possibly Southern Europe, in a declining village, like a village that wants new people to come. And yes, it is a dream of ours to like live in like especially a mountain village. We live in Denmark normally. We have no mountains at all. So that is like a big dream of ours because we love mountains. And we would love to live in different ways in different chapters of our lives. So this is one dream we have of like making the ReVillage, finding a whole group to move with us and work with the village, of course, where we're going. So the first step in that, because that's a very big project and we are not at all sure if we can do that and if it will ever happen. Of course, that's what we're working towards, but you never know. It's huge. So the first step was that we made this pop-up village in France, just outside of Paris. We're working with a French guy, Noah, who he used to restore old houses and also working a lot with villages and attracting people. Yeah, so we're making a pop-up to gather people who are interested and have the same vision and for hopefully to make a prototype of a more permanent village and how to approach this gigantic project that we are taking on. Because we want the roots, the stability, but we also want the wings. So Traveling Village and ReVillage are complementing each other very well. And we're learning so much through Traveling Village and doing that we are applying in our approach to ReVillage.
Well, it's an amazing concept because I love the idea of getting out of the top tourist sites and having more nature base and being in a community, like you said, that wants people to be moving to their community. And often there's fewer maybe families. And so if a bunch of families move there, that is going to provide some of that. The kid infrastructure, I think it's an amazing concept and something that could be really well received in the right community. And then also by people who love to travel, but also want to be stable in one area. It seems like a win-win in a lot of different ways. I'm excited to see where you all take ReVillage, and we'll have to maybe update in a while once you have some more updates on ReVillage to see where things are at.
But you can see the vision.
I would love to talk a little bit more about the challenges and the wins. For you, this could mean putting on an amazing opportunity like Traveling Village, but also you are a traveling family part of the village. What are some of the challenges of long-term travel? And then also we'll talk about the positive parts.
Yeah, so the challenges with long-term travel for me and for us is definitely keeping up some routines. And also a very practical thing is I want my kids to be helping out in the family. But every time you come to a new place, it's okay, where is the trash can? And where are all the things? How do they help? And then I have to guide them again and again and again. So just a very practical thing where I'm okay, this is easier at home because they know how to help out. But also it is challenging being away from your own home and your things, living out of a suitcase. And it's not always perfect. Sometimes you'll really miss your family or your friends or the food from home, things, especially for the kids, they really love at home, but they can't do here. And also sometimes you end up in a place where you don't like it. It's not really your thing. Not that it's not good, but it's just not your place. And all places have pros and cons. And yeah, I know it looks really perfect on Instagram and you can always make things look beautiful. That's my experience. I can always find something beautiful and put that on Instagram. And you just have to remember that sometimes on the very beautiful beach right next to it, there's a big pile of trash that you don't see on the photos. It's also harder sometimes to talk about the bad stuff on online because maybe it's if your kids are having a hard time, if they're homesick or missing something specific or having a hard time adjusting to now we are in a new place and they haven't found their go-tos and stuff. So it's not something you just share on Instagram for everyone to know. So yeah, just you don't get the full picture on Instagram for sure.
Very true. What have you found to be positive aspects of being a traveling family?
I love arriving in a new place and being okay, how do we do things here? Figuring that out. And sometimes that's so annoying as well. And sometimes it takes a lot of effort, but it's also what is so nice about traveling, and exploring new places, figuring out, how do I say hello and thank you in this language? And for instance, we're in South Korea, you bow a lot. and so you have to say thank you and take the credit card back with both hands and just some things that take some getting used to. Yeah, for me, it's an important element to be aware of the culture I'm in and make sure I'm respectful and also they don't appreciate noise a lot in this country, so which is sometimes hard with the two noisy kids. But exploring is what I really love. Like listening to the languages, I think it keeps me like sharp, if that's the right word. Like to having to adjust to new environments. Yeah, I just love to have some of that I can't have at home.
Let's wrap up with the lightning round. You can only live in or visit in 3 countries. What are they?
I would have to say Denmark because that's where all of our family is. And I think for me also Taiwan, that is where my mom is from and where I have my roots. And so that's also a very special place to me. And then the last country, I think it would be Spain. That's probably the country I spent like the most time and like in so many different parts. And I just love everything about it, like the culture, the language, and nature, the cities, and it's just, I feel like that country has everything.
That's a great mix of countries. What is the best or worst food you've ever tried?
The best food is definitely dumplings. I love dumplings, probably because my granddad used to make them for me when I was a child, and apparently I must be an emotional eater or something because I love dumplings.
What is one item that you cannot travel without?
Oh, it's my notebook. I love journaling and writing, and I need it. So for my soul.
If you could teleport to one place right now, where would it be?
I really wanted to teleport myself to Denmark like a month ago when my granddad was turning 103 years old, and I was so sad not to be there. That was like one of those moments where you're like, oh, I should have been home.
It's hard to miss those birthdays and those special family moments. And that's really special. Your grandpa's 103. That's amazing. What's one piece of advice to a family just starting out?
I would say travel slow. And it will take a while to get used to traveling and getting into routines, and for all the family members to find like a rhythm and figure out how they thrive. And what they like when traveling. So I think a lot of families think that it will just be like paradise from day one, but then also a lot of families are spending a lot more time together on the road, which also means more conflicts and a lot of like more of everything. Also more beautiful moments, of course, but also more conflicts. And I think that can be overwhelming in the beginning until you find like a new flow and rhythm for your family.
And if people want to connect with you more and learn more about Traveling Village, where can they find out more information?
You can find us on Instagram, like with Traveling Village. We have like the website, travelingvillage.com, and revillage.com as well if you were interested in ReVillage. Yeah, and you can sign up to our newsletters.
I'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes. And you have the Traveling Village podcast as well, so people can learn more about what life is like on a traveling village in that regard. And this has been great to learn more about you and your family and Traveling Village. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Sign up for the Wander Weekly newsletter and get curated resources for your family's journey, along with worldschooling news, family spotlights, and community roundups. You'll also get the essential pre-trip checklist specifically for slow traveling families. Sign up, grab your checklist, and I'll see you in your inbox soon.